There we go. That's funny. Let's go with it.
Yeah, why not?
So, had the amazing opportunity of yesterday speaking with Justin Barry, Austin Police Department, yesterday, and Sheena got on the call. She's a good friend of Justin's, and we got involved with talking to her, and she said, "How can I get involved in this conversation?" And we really enjoyed that. And Sean reached back out to her, and we're now here talking to you. And Sheena, say hello. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm as good as I can be during all this stuff that's going on. And so I'm glad that you guys invited me on the show because it's definitely a good thing to get somebody from the Black community, you know, a double minority, Black female.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm happy to be able to share some of my experiences and kind of, you know, we can look at both views as far as what's going on, but it's good to really get an honest to God, you know, non-threatening, you know, experience. Let's have a conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And really what Sean want to do here is really kind of give you the floor in your answers and making the floor open to us listening so the rest of the community can hear and know what it is to just listen right now. And just to kind of start it off, it was, you know, you had said how to get involved in this conversation. So it opened the floor for us, between Sean and I, we presented the conversation with having the side and perspective of Justin Barry and the police officer that he is, by his perspective and showing his outreach and what he's doing for the community. And then with you reaching out, it really opened the doors of us, you know, in the conversation of, okay, we can really get involved in knowing and understanding all of this entirely, between all the protests and what's really going on with it, to what needs to be said by your community. And we want to give you the floor on that. And how do you want to start with sharing that?
Okay. Well, let me just give you some backstory as far as my experience of being an African-American female and then leading into where all of this is just kind of decided to just blow up. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm 36 years old now, and I am from East Texas originally. I moved here to Austin 16 years ago whenever I was 20 years old. And so with being an African-American female in a small one stoplight town, 32 people in my graduating class. Okay. So that's a small area. Everybody knows in East Texas, it is riddled and full of racism. You know what I mean? And putting people in certain boxes. And so that was just something that I always was used to seeing. You know what I mean? And it sucks that after all this time, a lot of things have become normal. So for example, let's just start out with trying out for cheerleader. Okay. Trying out for cheerleader as a Black girl, there was an unspoken rule. And I remember my parents, other people's parents telling me this. It wasn't written anywhere, but it was an unspoken rule. I think there was going to be like, let's just say for number's sake, I don't remember, 8 girls that could be on the cheerleading squad. And they had to pick at least 2 so it doesn't look bad. So whenever you go to try out, it's not like the other cheerleaders or other athletes where it's all like, as long as, you know, the competition is within me and, you know, as long as I'm skilled and I'm doing my best and I have a good chance. You could outshine every white girl in that room and it didn't matter. It came down to your competition was almost like with the other Black girls, but there was only 3 of us. So whenever it came to cheerleader tryouts, we knew that one of us was going to be left out. Isn't that jacked up? So it's like, you always knew that it was never about your talent alone. It's, are they going to pick a Black one this year when it comes to certain stuff? And that's always been the thing that's hanging over your head. I remember the first time I heard a teacher tell a racist joke. And I probably shouldn't say his name, so we'll just call him Mr. D. This was around the time whenever the O.J. Simpson thing was going on. And he was one of those, he looked like a cross between Mr. Bean and Mr. Magoo. And he had those like polyester pants, you know which ones I'm talking about? The ones where if you snag them, it fucks up your whole day.
He was a regular teacher or a substitute teacher?
Huh?
He was a regular teacher or a substitute teacher? Because that sounds like
teacher.
a substitute teacher to me.
Yeah, no, he's a regular teacher. So this is the cat that you'd see all the time. And so he was, and it was a computer science class. That's back when we had those DOS computers. And he's all like, okay, kids, so I got a joke for you. What's the difference between an African lion? What did he say? No. What's the difference between O.J. Simpson and the Lion King? And we were like, I don't know. Where is this going? He goes, one's an African lion and one's a lion African.
Do what? What?
Did he start out the class with that, or what is that?
I remember sitting here, mouth open. We're all like, yeah, are you serious? Are you serious? So I think I was about Mr. D, that would have been 6th or 7th grade. And I remember all 4 of the black kids, we go and, and we tell another teacher, and she snapped off on us. Oh my gosh, you guys say worse things. I read some of the notes that you guys pass back and forth. You guys are making a big deal about it. So in my adult years, looking back on that and seeing that now, it's all like, what the hell? But that's how these things happen, where all these things are done and they're not resolved at that moment. You know what I mean? Because
so was it something that people did talk about at the moment? Like, was it a discussion that you had with other people, or was it just like, it kind of was just like, that was weird and kind of left unsaid?
No, because you didn't really have the power of the voice to say that, because like you saw, it got shut down. I mean, because you always know when something screwed up is happening. You talked about that. Now, there are some parents that were like, well, get used to it because that's just kind of the way it is. Because if you've got parents that don't feel empowered, you know what I'm saying? And they're used to it, then they're not going to go and fight like these new age parents now. And so as we get further into discussion, you'll see how things start getting to this boiling point. So based on where you are, you see it and hear it more often. And there's certain regions where it's easier to cover it up. You get what I'm saying? It's a lot easier, and that is the norm. And so that was muted and kind of blown off like, okay, so those are my early experiences. Now let's get to a little bit older, around 16, 17 or so. I started doing beauty pageants. Okay. That was something that I wanted to do, and I would find sponsors. And again, I remember doing the preliminaries because I did the Miss USA circuit. So it's your local. So that would be at that time, Tyler. Then you go on to Miss Texas USA and then make it to Miss USA. I remember being told, sweetie, there will never be a Black Miss Tyler. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't even know why you're competing. I even have my own family members who are like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. And so first year made top 10. Second year lost. First runner up by 0.5. Next year by 0.5. And so again, it's that, well, we'll let you get just close enough, but there's no way in hell you're not getting this crown. You're not getting it. You're not getting it. And so just knowing that everything that every other girl, let's just take my skin color out of it, just as a female, I don't get to do, and I'm not going to be looked at like the other girls. It's, okay, is this going to be the year where they finally choose a Black girl? That's always the thing. You know what I mean? It's almost like we've reached our Black quota, or y'all, we're starting to look racist. Let's go on and sprinkle one in there so we don't look like assholes. And
so we look like we're including everyone or something.
Exactly. Yeah. And it looks like we're including. And so those are the things that I'm very cognizant of. And I've seen that in every arena of my life. And so since I was a little girl coming from that type of environment, my way of protest has always been to be the first Black, whatever it is, because that's where it starts.
Right. Because you're told by that teacher in the beginning, no one's ever achieved this. Excuse me?
Yeah.
I'm damn sure going to achieve this now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Absolutely.
It's so weird. And then you have people that they feel weird about speaking up. You know what I mean? Depending upon where they are, because they want to be cool or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, this has to stop. This has to stop, because we can't pick and choose how we're gonna do equality here. Like, I'm an advocate for everybody. LGBT community, I have a gay brother. You know what I mean? And so interracial dating, I don't have any problem with that. I think that's actually part of how we fix the issue. I know so many people that were like, you know what? They've come up and told me straight up, I was the biggest bigot that there was until my granddaughter was born.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
So
That's powerful. Powerful in itself.
it's very, 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 very real what's going on out there. And now with social media, people that are in the dark are thinking that, oh my God, this is something that's new. It's not new. It's been going on for a very, very, very long time.
People are starting to finally listen, because it's being able to be, they're sitting at home and they're getting more time. This whole getting more time opportunity, people finally starting to wake up. It's and it's kind of sad.
Well, they're seeing it. You get what I'm saying? Because we have, thank you God, we have cameras now.
Right.
So now we have the receipts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's a lot easier to mute something if there is no, quote, proof. You know what I mean? But now the internet is permanent, and thank you God, everybody starts taking out their phones. And it's scary that in 2020, people are now having to, whenever their 16-year-old black son gets a car, you want to install an owl cam on the interior. Do you guys know what an owl cam is?
I don't know what it is.
No.
I mean,
it's a camera, and so
intriguing.
it's all like, it's inside of your car, and as soon as there's any movement or anything, it starts recording, sort of like the dash cam that officers have. And so it was Ricky Smiley. He's a very public figure, comedian. He's amazing. He's hilarious. And so his son's going off to college.
You said Barry what?
Ricky Smiley.
Oh, Ricky Smiley. Okay.
Ricky Smiley. And so he just did a video, and he says, black parents, you need to get your son or your kid one of these. And it's pretty much like, our regular version of a dash cam, because you need to record these things. And more stuff and more footage every single day is starting to pop up, where you see these screwed up things because people got away with it for so long,
Yeah. Now people are having to be held accountable, because like you say, before people could be like, oh, well, so-and-so would never say that about someone.
Right. I've never known him to be a racist. Of course, because you know how stupid it sounds. And if you're around this certain audience, you're not going to say that certain things. Like, I can always tell, and it's so funny. It's not funny, but it's not so funny, but it's something that I notice. Somebody that's trying to act like they're down, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not racist. I saw somebody black earlier today, and my mate is black. See? And here, Sheena, come here, posing this photo with me. And I'm like,
that's disgusting,
I am not your token.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. Yeah.
When you have to kind of justify it to people, like, it's like, when you have to clarify it, it's like, I don't know, man,
Yeah.
At least me.
What do you in the first place? And, that goes to the question of, when someone might say, I'm not racist, in that same statement you said, like, what does that mean to you when someone says that? Is it to me, that person has a lot of qualms themselves and figure out a lot for them. And they might be truly racist and not know it.
No. When you're racist, it's how you want to apply yourself in certain situations. So, for example, someone that says, I don't believe that it's okay for, black and white people to be together, but I'm not racist.
Okay, yes, you see it different. Yeah. I can see it in that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. You are a complete
with that scenario entirely, yeah.
Yeah, and so, and I have a keen eye to it, because I can always tell. I was telling you guys yesterday about the experience with my ex-fiance. He was a white man, And that's nothing new. I've dated different races. And one of the questions that I always ask white men is, have you ever been in an interracial relationship?
Yeah.
Do you have anybody that's racist in your family? And if somebody were to say, I have an issue with you being with somebody outside of your race, what would you do about it? And the answer was, what? My family's not like that. And I would tell them to, screw off. I'm a grown man. This man is in his 50s, okay? I would tell them, whatever. And I said, oh, okay, that's understandable because you should be able to stand proud in where you are and what's going on. Well, guess what? The cat got let out of the bag. One of his friends engaged on Christmas Day in a racially charged meme towards me. Okay. On Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, yeah.
Christmas Day.
That's
Everybody's
terrible.
saying Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. And this clown, whenever I joined in, because we were all on a group thread, and I was the newest wife to the group, and they were like, I was like, Merry Christmas, everyone. And this fool puts up a monkey and a Christmas suit ringing a bell.
Dude, what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I didn't know that part of the story. That's the
Wow.
Yep.
I still have that thread, and you can. And this was December 2019. Okay, and I just remember being. And
on Christmas Day, God. On Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day, and my thing is this.
Good night.
This is the day where everybody is loving and doing all of that, and you wanted to slide that in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to explain that to this person. I said, let me tell you something. Let me tell you why this isn't just they just picked a meme. You have to, if you put in Merry Christmas monkey, gift will say, we don't have anything like that. Merry Christmas. I put in every different scenario that would make that type of meme pop up just to see if I was like, there's a bunch of different gifts and stuff like that. And maybe that's just the first one that popped up. Then I finally put in Merry Christmas Filthy Animal. And at the bottom of all the gifts, that's when that one popped up. So that told me that this dude had to proactively look for that.
right.
You wanted me to know that you will still look at me amongst all these white people. You look at me like I'm a monkey to you.
And see, that's where I'm trying to understand. I was kind of going earlier. What is it about that with somebody that why they had to feel I need to? What is the just in that to feeling I need to get this message out and tell you that he had to have you see that? What is that? I don't legitimately understand it.
No, because you're not a racist. You're not a racist. You don't want to make somebody feel uncomfortable, because I can understand if maybe I came for you too many times or I'm being a jerk and you know what I mean? But you just met me. I was nice to you. You have a problem with the fact that I am the only black person. I'm about to marry your friend. You don't like the fact that I'm a black woman. That's it. We haven't had any qualms. I just met you. We all gone on a vacation and met each other. You know what I mean? And nothing bad happened, but you wanted to see, and then you wanted to see if you're going to get me to act out of character too. And that's another thing that happens, where you'll have people that are racist. They'll do different stuff, and they'll do it at the right/worst time to see if they can get you to fit that negative stereotype.
Just to try to bait you into it.
Oh yeah, and I said, no, we're not
baiting you into that. Oh, baiting you into it. That's good. Gosh. I'm sorry to deal with that, Sheena. I really am.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, but you know what? People that do that limit themselves, limit future generations, and they do that to the wrong people, and that's how they get their ass beat. That's how stuff happens. You know what I mean? And there has to be a point where we sit down and say, we're not doing this anymore. I have just as much of a right to be on this earth as you do, in this country as you do. Period. You don't get to make people feel uncomfortable in a country that they helped build. That they built.
Yeah.
And who's sitting around on Christmas Day let me send out this ignorant racist shit?
Yeah.
And who's sitting around let me fucking do this right now? I don't understand that shit.
They have their bet they're making with God.
Yep.
Correct.
That's all I gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is, and it hurt my heart, but it hurt my heart even more to know that there were sets of eyes, and the whole group thread got quiet. And I looked, and we were unwrapping gifts, and I looked at my now ex-fiance, and I was like, are you gonna do something? And he's like, and I could tell that he was nervous about saying something to this cat about this.
Yeah.
There are so many people that want to be liked so bad that they are willing to sacrifice what they know is right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is something about that to where if he was forcing himself into that uncomfortability, and it's just, how do you not see that radar for yourself?
But here's the gag, though. You see it. You know it's there. You're pretending like you don't. And that's just it. Because I asked from the beginning. Because you would know. I had no idea that he was racist like that. What are you talking about? If this is your homie, all of my friends, I can tell you what their temperament's going to be and how they feel about different stuff. And you should know that, who's ever around you. Because if this is the person that's all like, let's tear the club up and act crazy, you probably don't want to take them to a civilized situation. You know what I mean? You should know the demeanor of the people that hang out with you that are in your squad. You're a reflection of your friends.
Oh,
so,
and he did. I'm sure he did. He just didn't, like, people at the beginning of the relationship want to try to present that best version of themselves. And so he was trying to hide that fact that was going on. Like, oh, this won't ever be an issue. I'll just, yeah.
Well, it turns out he was Grand Wizard himself, too. So it's just like, because if you're going to co-sign that, then you are just as racist. And I don't want to blast exactly anybody, and I'm not using names. So that's fine, right? Because I'm
for sure.
We're
not tagging him in the post or anything.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not friends with this person. But even, it was funny, after the dissolving of the relationship, to make it even worse and to shine a bigger light, the ex-wife somehow found me on Facebook and said, hey, I know that you don't know me, but, starts telling me all this stuff about him. And I'm like, lady, I'm not interested in the smear campaign. You know what I mean? But she's like, just so you know, he's the biggest racist of all. And she listed off all this racist stuff, Confederate flags, and I'm like, I was this close to marrying Grand Wizard. Yeah. From the KKK. You know what I'm saying? That's not funny, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like, what were you going to do with that? Were you going to have me endure racism? Did you want to marry me so I could be the guest of honor at the next Klan rally? Like, what is that about? But all of this crap has to freaking stop. It has to stop.
Yeah, what was his ultimate goal there in the beginning of, what are you figuring out, man? And
testing, you don't test out your racism, and there shouldn't be racism levels, okay? I look at this, God gives us, and whoever you believe in, but these are our meat suits that we float around in, period. You don't get to tell me that I can or cannot have a certain opportunity because I have a permanent tan. You know what I mean? And if it's the color that bothers you so bad, why do you go to the tanning bed?
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So it's that has been, but that moment right there was enough for me to, it flipped the switch in me as far as how I operate and how I move. And that is to put myself always in a position of power and of excellence as a Black woman. So other young Black girls see me and say, you know what? She feels comfortable being in an all-white environment unbothered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where that little girl can walk proud and say, I can wear blonde hair, I can have brown hair, I can have whatever I want because this is my time on earth. Okay? Right. And nobody is going to get to put me in a box and say, oh, yeah, so that's the Black section, right? Like, no, we are going backwards from what Martin Luther King worked for, Harriet Tubman, what she worked for, Frederick Douglass, with all these people that pioneered and did all this stuff, they were not thinking that in 2020, this was still going on.
Yeah.
No, they can't have been, you know.
Yeah.
So,
And, you know, I think it's an important time, at least for us, you know, to speak up and say something about it, because I think everybody coming together against it is really how we start to actually change it, you know.
yeah.
I mean, that's my opinion. I'd like to hear yours on that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I think, you know, just cross marketing and getting to know, and everybody having an open mind about getting to know each other. So it's like, okay, let's see here, like a Black owned business. Whenever there's a state of crisis, have you noticed that we always run to try to take care of this person, this person, this person? What about certain minority groups? You know what I mean? Why don't we, you know, if you are a business owner or if you have a position of power and there's a lot of racism going on, why don't you find a couple of Black business owners and say, what can I do to help? You know what I mean? Now, I know that there's some people that are like, okay, is this you really wanting to help, or is this you trying to soothe white guilt? Which one is it?
Right,
So
and that's what I struggle with is like, how do you actually help? How do you not give the appearance of you're just trying to check a box? You know?
I feel like, in all honesty, your best bet, because you cannot control how somebody is going to be able to receive you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some people that are just trying to be la 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 listening to respond, and there's some people that are like, yeah, let me hear what you have to say. I would lead with, look, this is not me checking a box. Call a thing, and say, I'm not checking a box. I want to help. Can I offer this? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then walk the talk consistently, not just whenever it's convenient, not just whenever, you know, the Black folks are coming. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's, this is who you are. You know what I mean? And if you are a stone cold, I can't stand Black folks, whatever person, one, you need to get your life, and two, move to another planet, because we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, and like you said earlier, with the internet, it's a matter of time before you get exposed on something like that. People are going to figure it out.
Yeah.
You are going to get exposed. Yeah, and especially because now everybody has.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
You should.
You should be. You should be. You know, and I don't want to. It's a double standard, because I've had some of the dumbest, horrible things said. So if we want to go through a list of things that you don't say to a Black girl. You know,
let's open that table, yeah. Because I don't know.
If you want to give me a compliment or a Black girl compliment, I cannot stand more than anything. Sheena, you're so pretty for a Black girl. Baby, you could have kept that. You could have kept that.
It was all good until the qualifier.
Right. You were pretty for a Black girl. Or I would hear this, and it's almost like, see, look, I accept you, and it's the most offensive thing. Sheena, you're not really like a real Black person. You know, you're like us. What?
Oh, yeah.
Absolute hell does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's pretty.
And it shouldn't matter to you. But I've also gotten it, you know, sometimes from my own people too, where we mix up the lines of doing stuff that's more whitewashed or quote for white people. Again, I don't subscribe to those labels. I'm a Black girl that likes to, you know, I like to hunt, I like to shoot skeet. You know what I mean? Those are quote, I guess, white things to do. Why is that?
Who in the first place says they're white things to do, though? They're just items. They're just items that everyone can do, has a choice for it.
Correct.
That's it.
Now, if it just so happens that a majority of white people, yeah, sure, maybe. Let's just say.
Okay, happens to be. That's it. Happens to be, and that's it.
Right. Tennis was just a white thing, wasn't it? It was something that white people did in the Hamptons. You know, that was just exclusively for them. But it took the Williams sisters to come in and kick the door in on that, and it's all like, boom, here we go. Look, everybody can do everything, and we need to see more of that too. And that's another way that you can, help. Infusing ourselves like commercial ads. You know what I mean? We all need to be able to see our young generation of other Black kids. They need to see kids that look like them in ads, so they don't get that mentality, because it's this pre-programming of, if I see a commercial and it's for a beauty product of some sort, but it's only white women in the ads, then that's where these little kids start thinking that, well, if you're not white, you're not pretty.
You know what? There's actually going back, because I've thought about that myself. Of like, for a young boy, he has a mentality of thinking himself, I guess, in that entire aspect of media, a magazine, let's say, you have to be white to be in that. It kind of gives that mixed perspective. You're right. Yeah.
It does. But here's the thing. Here's a caveat where both Black and white folks, we need to make sure that we are paying real close attention to this. And that is, not to get it twisted, I alternate between dark brown hair and blonde. Just because I just like it. I like to be different. Some people might see that as, oh, well, you're trying to be white. Honey, I am super confused as hell if I think that I am a white woman just because I have blonde hair in my head. That's not what that means. That means that I love all this good melanin, and any color goes with it. So if I want to be pink one day or blonde, that's fine. That's not just for white women to enjoy. Being able to switch it up and do things, that's not what that means. If I want to change my eye color one day, that's okay. But sometimes people will look at that, both Black and white folks, like, oh, she's trying to be white. Really? So we got to stop doing that. Both sides got to stop. Got to stop doing that. Got to stop it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if it makes you happy, you should be able to do it, in my opinion.
Well, it's my Christmas tree, and I get to decorate it the way the hell I want to, and so that doesn't mean anything. People that get mad at, Black men for dating white girls. Okay.
Yeah.
I think everybody mix it. Date outside your race if you want to. I think it's a beautiful thing to see more cohesive things where you see, I would love to see a commercial where you see a little biracial little girl and, you see her white dad fixing her hair. You know what I'm saying? That's the mixing of the two. We need to see more of that, more of the cohesive things. Now, when you go to different parts of the country, you see it more. But when you get to Texas, I will forever say that Texas is so behind. If you go to Atlanta, we call that the land of the Black excellence, the Black excellence. Nobody bats an eye or is surprised whenever you see, Black people in power, driving Range Rovers, Lexus, all that stuff. That's nothing new. You know what I mean? That's what they do. Texas, I drive up in a little Lexus. People are like, I wonder what rapper she's with, or if she's this or that. And it's all like, why is that the thought? But if I was the same age, white girl, you got little 16-year-old white girls that like Travis driving the same type of car that I drive. And nobody thinks twice about it. But since I'm Black and I'm 36 and I drive a luxury car, it's, I wonder how she got that. I had someone actually come out and say, oh, how can you afford that?
I work hard.
Straight up ask somebody and call them out about their finances. Like I mean, like, that's none of your business, really. Like, just,
Don't
really
count other folks' money, but you want to count my money because of this, because you don't understand. Because in your mind, it's reserved for this, not this.
Yeah.
And all that's got to stop.
Yeah.
Just got to stop.
Just in general, for anybody, who am I to ask, how much money do you make? How'd you get that? Do what?
Yeah, right. It's just so like, I don't know, ask your husband, but you can't say stuff like that to folks.
No, exactly. Yeah.
That's rude.
Yeah. It's having a little decency in the first place. Please. Carry yourself well. Now, we had a conversation about things yesterday, and it was funny. You kind of put me out in the call-out sense of it, and I had shared that I felt like I had a good upbringing, but because I had a good upbringing on that, I saw the good upbringing because I had some figures in my upbringing that were very racist people. And it separated me as a white man I am. I don't want to be around that. I don't want to be associated to that. And it changed me as a whole as a better. And I went to a Westlake community, which just happens to be an all-white community. Just happened to be. And being raised within that, but then going in the military, I was now opened up into a world of pushing myself in the experience of so many different races around, with especially Asian cultures. And that opened my eyes entirely to a T. And I don't see anybody as anything different as to the only reason I don't like you is if you're disrespecting me,
right?
Or I can't intelligently get across to you, or you can't intelligently get back to me. Let's have a conversation. That's it. That's the only way I see people. So
as long as you are walking that talk, that is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Do you feel comfortable if you were sitting, because this has probably happened to you at some point in time, or maybe it hasn't, where you're in an environment and there's other, white men around, and one of them pops off and says something off color. Are you comfortable with checking that person at the door and be like, yo, what, really? Or do you laugh along with it?
So, I have friends that might say a comment here and there, and it's like an easy thing of just, why'd you say this, Mark? What was, and we talked about in the past and earlier, what was your take to why you had to say that?
Your intent.
There was your intent, exactly. There's no reason for going there. And have I ever laughed at it before on the fitting in with people before? Sure, I'll admit it and say, because that was before in the past.
Right.
Confused about finding my place and understanding of where I want to be with knowing and understanding, just accepting everybody for who they are. So.
Right.
But it's yeah, it's hard when you're younger with stuff
when
like
you're
that.
Young.
You do have to hold.
Yeah.
Audio. I lost your audio.
Your audio go out.
Am I good now?
You're good.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what happened. I dropped my mic right before this, everybody. So
yeah,
it's in and out.
I
but
need to get my light to come out.
Oh, that light!
Look at it, Greg. I think it's important that we call people out on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hear and see stuff like that, and I think, something that I wish I'd brought more attention to recently. And I saw it when it happened, and the Mike Ramos thing, I wish I had brought more attention to it, because when I saw it, I was like, this is fucked up that nobody in the community is talking about this, and I don't know why they're not talking about it, because the circumstances of what happened, I just don't know how you look at it in any other way than, just that was a decision that was based on that he was a person of color, and that's why they jumped to that conclusion.
Yeah. You will see that a lot, and it takes you, I think we've all been in a position in some stage of our lives where we would laugh along or co-sign something, you know what I mean? Or what you allow people to say. Because I used to allow, because I would, joke, because every race has its own stereotype. You know what I'm saying? And so it's the scenario that I gave you of, if I were to sit here and be like, oh my God, I look so fat in these jeans, whatever. I can say that, but you would never open your mouth and be like, oh my God, Sheena, you're fat ass in those shorts or jeans, because it would be not okay. Right. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so it's what you also allow. I'm not doing any better if I'm like, wanting to be accepted so bad by my white friends. And I'm like, that guy used an N-word, isn't he? You can't do that. And I think that we've gotten to the point where it's like, we see what happens when you don't say anything, and when you don't check these people, you don't check your friends or whatever. And I've gotten more comfortable even with dating, you know, men outside, because it's always something stupid. I can always expect one thing, and I have to check that at the door, as far as like, don't ever say the N-word around me. And I've had people try to argue that with me. That is the worst thing you can do. If somebody black says, don't say the N-word, don't say the N-word. Do not go into no damn dialogue about how, well, y'all say it, and I hear it in rap songs, and I blah, 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 blah. Don't say it. Do not say it. I had a man tell me, well, Sheena, if I'm listening to the song, you know, if you're around and if it comes out and I hear it, then I'm going to say it. And he had so much conviction, like he wanted to say it. And I'm sitting here like, you want to say that word so bad, but I just know the next time we get ready to go somewhere, you purposely go let me find the next song I can find that has the N-word in it, so I can sing along and then look at you like, what you gonna do?
Right.
And it's stuff like that. And it's all like, we're not going to sit here and pretend like that's not what it is, because that is what it is. So I'm like, let me go on and cut this off now, because I'm going to throat punch you, because you're going to slip up and you're going to say it. Or if you want to say it so bad, how about this? Why don't you get a whole room of black folks and stand at the back of it? And if you can survive saying it 3 times, running from the back of the room through this crowd of black folks to the front, and survive, you get a pass.
I choose not. I choose not. I won't do it. I won't do it. I choose not.
Yeah, you should opt the hell not. Exactly. That's the correct answer.
Yeah.
That's the correct answer. And that does not need to be a challenge or anything. And that's one thing, oh my God. Whose kids are these? Have you guys seen this on Facebook? Where they have the Floyd challenge? Or the racist TikTok?
Yeah.
You've not seen that?
Floyd challenge. What is that?
Look this up.
That are they've got their friend and they're on the ground like George Floyd, and they're calling it the George Floyd challenge
on TikTok.
What?
No, there's a racist TikTok where the girl was like, "I'm making the N-word" or something. So they had N-word, her and her boyfriend. I'll send it to you, but it's just or Google racist TikTok, and yeah. And these other kids that are posting things where it's like they're calling it like it's a funny dance, where they've got their friend with.
They're teaching kids this. Huh? What? They're teaching kids this. What?
You didn't see that? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, dude.
No, I know. I'm literally finally in my state of shock, speaking out. Unbelievable.
These are middle school kids, like middle school to high school, and they think this crap is funny, and so that's why, like for graduation, one of the girls I believe that did the racist TikTok, she finally issued an apology, because they're trying to be like, nuh-uh, hold their diplomas, all of that mess. You know what I mean? Because they need to learn now. There are consequences for doing this stuff. This is not a mockery. It's not a joke, and this shit is not funny. But the thing is, those are also the same parents that want to squawk about, oh, I saw, a sexy photo, and so is not a role model. Yes, she is, because that's grown folks stuff.
You're just judging everybody.
Watch your children.
Yeah. Judge yourself first before you judge everybody else.
Right. Watch your kids. But they're letting, can you imagine being a mom, and then you see on CNN that damn Floyd challenge that your white son did, thinking that it's funny?
Oh my God. No, I can't imagine it, and I'm gonna look it up, but only in the sense of like, I am going to murder those accounts. I'm going to just attack them so hard.
One step at a time.
You are disgusting. That isn't. I'm appalled.
Who does? Yeah, and it's like, why do you think that that's funny?
Yeah.
And it's not a joke, it's like when Oklahoma City bombing, whenever that happens, everybody wants to crowd around and join in together. It's like, oh my gosh, those poor people. You know what I mean? Where it's a group of mainly white people, it's, everybody wants to join together in unity. But there's nobody making jokes about that. But here's a black man that has been basically taken down to just completely stripped down. This is 6'5" man that has been broken down to the point where he's calling out for his mother.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? As a black man that's supposed to be, you know, strong black man, and you've been reduced to that. The humiliation, the pain, the everything that everybody's seeing that. The fear.
The amount of fear that he must have had in that situation.
And looking around and saying, oh my God, because it's like, this is on a busy street. And people are walking by, and it's just like, is somebody going to help me?
Yeah.
And,
please. Just a sense of please. I put on one sock at a time, just like you do.
But I mean, like, what do you do? Well, do you take on a police officer? You know, like, the thing is, like, we can't get people in a situation where that ever happens, to where somebody has to make that decision to come and be like, I've got to step in and do this. Like, we've got to handle that within their training. You know, like Justin was talking about, that it was a part of their training to do that. We're going to handle that and settle that beforehand, so we never get in that situation.
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt.
No. Go ahead.
Please.
I have APD officer friends, and one of them, she's always been there for me, and she has a 16-year-old son. Okay, and so whenever she joined the force, she didn't join it so, you know, she can co-sign these type of things happening. And so she was all like, whenever we take somebody down, you know what I mean? You take them down, you detain them, and you stand them back up.
Right.
There's no reason to leave them on the ground. You know what I mean? Especially if they're already cuffed.
Yeah.
So that's one. They're already cuffed. So she's all like, we don't even play that mess. And she goes, another thing too, when somebody is saying that they can't breathe or something like that, then, you know, you get them up, and that's when you call EMTs and all that stuff, and you get them their medical help. Two, and that, again, bad cop, good cop, whatever. She's like, I'm not trying to go down for any type of anything that my partner, if I'm doing a ride out, is going to do. You know what I mean? And so she's like, often a lot of the reports that are done, the investigations, she goes, it's within our own. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, like, let's say if I'm an officer and I arrest you and TJ is my partner, you know what I mean? But you're all like, man, dude's got a wallet full of money, and you wanted to slip that in your pocket. You know what I mean? She's all like, both of y'all go down for it. So do they want civilians to jump in, you know, when they see something like that? No, because they can't do that. They have to stay in their lane.
That creates a huge issue. Yeah.
Yeah, right, because that would be a major problem. But like home dude, the partner, you know, he could have been like, yo, dude, what's going on? Now, whenever I did my video about before we scream, fuck the police, I said I want everybody to remember everything. I know why people are